Welcome to Streams of Income with self-help author Ryan Rieger. For the next hour, you'll hear proven methods for how to live the multiple income streams dream. Ryan is passionate about helping others discover their gifts and start their own business. He's published 5 books, and his courses and group coaching programs have changed the lives of thousands of students all over the world. Ryan's books include Private Label, The Easy Way, Finding Your Grace Place, and his latest, Streams of Income. And now, here's your host, Ryan Rieger.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Streams of Income radio show. I'm your host, Ryan Rieger, and today we have a returning guest, my really good friend, Eric Bussey. We just came back from being at the Proven Conference in Louisville, Kentucky. This past weekend, the Proven Conference is Jim Cockrum's conference, and it's a lot of Amazon sellers, and it was awesome, just making new connections, seeing old friends, and Eric is definitely one of those. He's been on this episode, on the show before, and he talked about how to overcome shiny object syndrome. So on this episode, we got an update on what's going on in his business. He now has 4 retail stores. His business is called Extra Mile Tools. He has a tool liquidation business and puts those tools in a retail store. We just had a lot of fun, laughing, talking about business ideas. But guys, this episode really helped me a lot. Thinking about, he's just at a different level in his business. He's at a point to where if he walks into his retail store, his guys tell him to leave because they don't want him to mess up anything. He doesn't know how to ring anybody up, which you would think, man, in his own business, he should, but he's just at a level where he's thinking about his business rather than doing a lot of work in his business. And we all want to get to a point to where we are not always doing all the work. I heard a snippet from Grant Cardone earlier, I think it was last week, where he said, you want to be the investor, not the boss. The boss is the one he's doing all the work. And he's saying the investor doesn't really have to think much about the business anymore. Eric thinks about his business. He's got 2 other partners, so they definitely think about the business, but he's just doing so little work now in it that it frees him up to think about how to grow it. And that's where I want to be too. And so he mentioned, if you're the boss, your job is to create the vision, to make sure there's enough money in the business, and to build relationships. And those are your 3 main tasks. And so I learned a lot. I know this will hopefully bless you too. We went through, if you're an Amazon seller, you're going to love this, because we went through an example of if he had to go back to only selling on Amazon, what he would do to grow that business to where he is now above it, thinking more strategically, thinking more visionary, rather than being in it, doing all the work. So you'll love that part for those of you that are doing solely an e-commerce business. But here's my interview with my good buddy, Eric Bussey. Eric, welcome back to Streams of Income, man.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me. Always good to talk to you.
Good talking to you. And thank you so much for coming to the Proven Conference this year. It was so good to see you in person again. It feels like forever.
Yeah, it did feel like a long time. I've been every single year. I know it's hard for everybody to get there all to the same conference every year, but felt like all of us were kind of back together again. It was awesome.
Exactly. It is like a family.
Yep.
Absolutely. It feels like the first time I met you, there was just an instant connection. I remember the house we rented when we went to that, we hosted a conference out in California, and we had that big house. And we were talking about, this is so random. We were talking about I was cutting up the bananas in little tiny chunks for Callan. And you're like, we just give our girls the whole banana. I'm like, what? Are you serious? Like, you can do that?
So many funny things happen on that trip. And I think that's the most important thing about the community and about you guys, and why when you guys weren't at the last conference, I missed you so much, was it's so little, everything, our relationship has little to do with business. And it's laughing and helping each other and enjoying each other. And to me, that's what makes the greatest business relationships, is being able to do that. So
I know.
It's always hilarious to hang out with you guys.
You don't even really sell on Amazon anymore. I know your store, you guys are selling on Amazon. You have your manager that runs that for you for your store and your tools. We'll get into that. But so why did you even come to that conference?
It was more so about the relationships. It was, it was interesting, and I don't know, if this is going to make a whole lot of sense. But I feel a lot like I'm being led, certain places throughout my business.
That makes total sense to me.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So yeah, I didn't have any goal in mind, anything
Right.
that I wanted to accomplish. I know I wanted to see all the people who I had relationships with, and
Yeah.
keep up with those relationships, and
Yeah.
trust that whatever conversation I found myself in was exactly the one that I was supposed to be in. So
That's good. Yeah, the Holy Spirit leads us and shows us. I mean, because I'm praying about like a conference. There's something in November that I'm thinking about. Do I go to that? And just starting to feel like, no, that's not really a place where I need to be. And so I totally get that, and a lot of my listeners do too. You want to be Holy Spirit led when you're trying to decide what to do in your business, because I mean, it wouldn't be like horrible if you decided to do it and you missed it, but you know. You're taking time away from your family, so you want to be at the right place at the right time. So.
Right. A great example, just real quick, was I had just had my 20th high school reunion, and for whatever reason, I felt like I didn't end up going to it, but leading up to it, I just felt, I just feel like I'm being led to go.
Yeah.
Like there was a key relationship that was going to move me ahead personally, professionally, whatever it was. It's all the same.
Yes.
But that kind of example, I kind of wish I did go, because I felt so strongly about it.
Mm-hmm.
But last minute, I knew I was going to this conference. I said, I really wanted to get some family time in there.
Yeah.
So I didn't go, but that was a good example.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, to catch me up, we just looked right before we hit record that you were on the podcast in March of 2021. That's not been terribly long ago, but over a year now. We talked about how to overcome shiny object syndrome. And as you and I both know, it's easy as an entrepreneur to get shiny object syndrome. There's always amazing ideas all around us, but we need the right ideas. So catch us up. Well, let's say for somebody who has not listened to that episode, tell them who you are briefly and your business story real briefly, and then we'll jump into an update since that last episode.
Absolutely. So, I started out selling things on eBay and Amazon, going to garage sales and finding things to kind of flip on there. And we moved into storage unit auctions because it was so much fun, all that treasure hunting. We said, well, how do we make this better, bigger, scale it more? Storage unit auctions. We did that horribly. We did not do that the right way at all. We quickly moved into solely selling on Amazon, doing retail arbitrage and building teams across the country to see if they could send things in for us for a percentage of the profit.
Yeah.
And we've done so many things in between then. I got very, very into marketing when we found Jim's community, and really focused on audience building and what does that look like. And it kind of dawned on me and clicked. Whoever has the audience tends to win, online or even physical stores. So I realized that was kind of my future, and whatever I was going to be a part of, that was going to get me there.
Yeah.
So we opened up a store in 2019, August 2019. We had gotten a warehouse, which was a big step, for us is how it felt. It was this, 1,500 square foot warehouse. I forget what the rent was. Looking back on it, it was funny that we were so nervous about it.
Right.
But we've been selling these liquidation items in my garage, and tools, home goods, home improvement stuff.
You had people come into your house?
Well, I'd list on Marketplace.
Okay.
And I meet people at the gas station.
Oh, wow. Oh my goodness. Wow.
So, I mean, my wife, would come down and there'd just be pallets of stuff in the garage, and she'd have a little path to the garage fridge. So it was just constantly evolving and changing in a mess. And then we hired our first employee to list and ship for us. And he was coming to the house.
Okay.
And we quickly realized we couldn't scale that. There's just no way. I'm not going to have a garage full of employees with kids running around upstairs and a wife get to the fridge. So that's when we got the warehouse, and the rest was kind of history. That brought us up into the very beginning of what we do now, which is run the retail stores.
Wow. So how did you go from the warehouse to the I don't know if we covered this on the last episode or not, but how did you go from the warehouse to that first retail store?
It was a little bit of a jump, not as much of a jump as it was from the garage to that first warehouse. Okay. Even though I think the rent was like $1,000 a month, we could easily justify that. It was still a year lease. lease. We're like, oh man, so we're on the hook for $12,000, you know, and we haven't proven this retail thing out. You know, I was doing all the marketing for, you know, I had an agency. I was helping other businesses with their marketing. But this was fairly new. So that was the big jump. But once we moved into that location, under the basis that we were going to do 90% online, you know, we we're going to sell 90% of this stuff online. We began to hire employees that would list, ship, inspect, and test everything. And that is how we began. So once we moved in and we got settled in, customers found out where we were somehow, you know, through word of mouth, and people started showing up at the warehouse.
So people would, when you were listing it on Facebook Marketplace, instead of meeting them at a gas station, you'd have them come straight to the warehouse and pick it up, correct?
Exactly. But they would go tell their friends. So they would start showing up randomly without messaging us, which, you know, I really believe if you're, you know, is another one I felt led, you know, one of those situations. We needed to lean into that. Because customers obviously wanted to come shop with us. So we decided to get a retail store. On paper, the worst time in history to open up a retail store. I think it was October of 2020. And we decided to go from a 1,500 square foot warehouse to a 20,000 square foot store.
Wow.
And that was quite the jump.
In October of 2020, when a lot was shut down. Now you're in a free state of Georgia, and so that helped you out, man. But even I guarantee there was some. Okay, I want to lean into that. What you had customers that were coming to you, but that was an awful time to make that jump in the natural, looking at natural circumstances. So how do you see that the Lord led you in that direction? And how did you, like, you know, were you praying and you just heard him speak to your heart about opening the store? How'd you do that? Because in the natural, that would have been took a lot of faith to make that jump. Let me say that, because of everything around you was like, let's shut down, let's not do this. Tell me about that decision that you guys had to make.
Yeah, we all made it all at once too. Yeah. So there's three of us. So anytime we all come to the same conclusion, it's pretty much a done deal and very, very clear. So all of us, we tend to live our lives, you know, praying to remove most of ourselves so we can see the signs around us and see where we're supposed to be and see, you know, where we're led. And so it makes those decisions very clear if we all come to that conclusion, because we all live very, very similar lives. And we all said, you know what, these are the signs, you know, people are coming up and they're wanting to shop with us. That wouldn't be happening if it was going to be the wrong decision. So I'm just grateful we were able to remove enough of ourselves and self-centered, all the, you know, stuff floating around to be able to see that and pay attention.
Did you have a ton of people coming to the warehouse every day? And like, and so this is very much like information. When three people ask you the same question, it's time to create an offer around that. So you had physical people physically showing up at your location wanting to shop. This is just fascinating to me, because how did you do that when you're like, sir, what are you doing here? Like, do you remember that first customer or the first 10 and they're just shopping around, but you don't have price tags on stuff because these things are set to go on eBay or Amazon and be shipped out? What do you remember what that was like?
It was a mess. Looking back on it, it was like, oh man, how did we make it? Right. So we had, you know, everything comes in on a pallet.
Right. So it's all mixed up, right? It's all like just you have a pallet of, or is everything on the same thing on the pallet, or is it like a big mixture of stuff in this?
Oh, it's all different. So
are these in big Gaylord boxes?
Yeah, Gaylord boxes, exactly. Yeah, and it's just filled to the brim with random stuff in some cases. So
you have somebody picking through it like one.
Yeah, it was a mess, and they'd end up with this you know, armful, and we'd have to give them a box. So they'd walk with this box full of stuff that we.
Yeah. How did you price it? Did you go to eBay and like, oh, we have this price on eBay for 20. So, sir, that's 20. This over here is on eBay for 60. So that's 60.
Usually we use our the big retailer stores. You know, we use the big retailers and price everything against theirs and dropped it, you know, 30 to 60%.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
So and that's how we began. But our eBay inventory, we had to keep that separate. And that
You
created
couldn't
a
have
whole
time to
new
be
issue.
picking through your eBay inventory, because then if you sold it on eBay, you'd be in trouble.
And that happened all the time. All the time.
How'd your eBay account not get messed up? You sold something that was listed.
I have no idea. We we always took care of the customer. So when that would happen, we would refund them.
Okay.
Apologize and offer them, a 15% off coupon their next purchase with us. We just kind of went above and beyond. But it was, I always remember being in the warehouse and looking over and see customers walking through our eBay store and thinking, oh no,
Don't shop there.
All mixed up. Yeah, so we'd have to, but by the time I got to them, they'd moved things all over the place. So because we had everything labeled A1, A2, A3.
Yeah.
And in the SKU, so it told us where to go pick it from.
Wow.
It was a mess. I mean, how we got started was a complete mess.
When you moved to your store, did you just have the eBay and Amazon inventory behind the scenes, like not out in the public? Yeah,
we did. It's one big, huge open building. It used to be an outdoor store. It's like a miniature Bass Pro Shop.
Yeah.
And we were able to build our own walls and segment 5,000 square feet of that just for online processing and testing. So nobody was allowed back there. And it was amazing.
Man, would you suggest, so somebody who's listening to this that has a warehouse for Amazon, and they are thinking about opening a store, maybe it's a thrift store with like Amazon returns, any quick advice for that person who's thinking about going the retail route?
Yeah, I think building the audience was huge for us. I started the retail store thinking I'm going to build a list of people and an audience of people using other people's products to launch my own product to one day. So I think beginning with that end in mind is really, really smart. So you end up with an asset through the retail store. But also, I think, brick and mortar, if they're beginning to open up their own brick and mortar store, I think doing it with Amazon returns is super, super smart because that keeps your inventory different and it changes. And I think people are craving good retail stores, because if you notice, a lot of shopping is being done online. And the quality, I think, of some customer service and brick and mortar stores is, as a result, gone down. So I think it was very refreshing for customers to come shop with us because we would almost be over, with the customer too much, to the point where it's like, no, really, I'm okay. I'm just going to look around. It's like, but we just wanted to build that relationship, and shopping is more relationship building more than it is transaction.
Yes.
So getting the people, our employees, to really see that and build that culture was really, really important. So I think, although we did, start in one of the worst times in history, it's I think that's what got us through was the audience building and the relationship building.
Yeah.
Those two things. Without those, we wouldn't have made it.
Yeah. How did you go from one to, you got 4 stores now, right?
Yep. 4 stores. The 4th will be in November.
What'd that look like?
Well, at the same time I was building the one down here, one of my business partners was building the one in his garage as well.
Okay.
And we both kind of did that jump at the, same time. We were always the test stores. It was nerve-wracking because I was always the
Does
test
he live
store.
close to you?
He does. Well, now there's 3 owners and we live within 8 houses of each other.
Oh, wow. Oh my goodness.
So yeah, very close. 2 of my business partners are next door neighbors. And, and I'm the Lone Ranger, 8 houses, 8 houses down,
8 houses away. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's hilarious. So yeah, and then my other business partner, he kind of helped me open up the one down here. So
okay, wow. And now you got where are the locations of them? And let's say the names so people can come shop there.
Yeah, starting in North Carolina, it's technically South Carolina, the Charlotte area, Fort Mill.
Yep.
Then we have one in Dawsonville, Georgia, a bit north of Atlanta. We're going to have one in Roswell, Georgia, closer to Atlanta, but still north. And then one in Noonan, Georgia, just south of Atlanta.
Okay. And this Extra Mile Tools, is that what it's called?
Extra Mile Tools, yeah. Yeah. We you could go to the website, but we don't sell anything on the website yet. We had a very strange problem. We were selling too much on the website. And we couldn't keep up because our inventory is limited. So we need more people and we need more inventory to support the traffic that's on the website. So it was such a good problem to have. but we couldn't keep it going. So if you go to the website now, it'll really just show you the locations of the stores and take you to our eBay store, Amazon store.
Do you have a lot? I know you're based on the liquidation model primarily. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a lot of stuff that's replenishable that you get? Like you have wholesale contacts with companies and you're getting the same stuff over and over again?
We do. And I think this might be helpful for anyone who's thinking about opening up a brick and mortar. Is it was really good to start with liquidation or anything that you could get at a good deal, because everyone wants to save money, especially right now. So that's a good way to kind of bring customers in. But what you end up lacking is stability. Yeah. So we wanted to build a tool store where a saw could break or a bit could break on the job, and they could come to our store like they would some of the other retailers and just know that we had something. Yeah. So as a result, we did start building these relationships with these brands, and now we do sell quite a bit wholesale on a regular basis.
Oh, that's awesome. Would that be easier to put that stuff on the website since that's stable and you're always going to get that?
It would, and that is perfect. We are able to do that. We just don't have the people to manage that right now. Yeah. So we're also building a prep center, and we're also building a brand, tool organization brand at the same time. So all of our labor resources are kind of spoken for. We're all just running around like crazy,
except you.
Except me.
So let's get into that. When I saw you this weekend, I was asking about the number of hours you work, and it sounded like you were working a lot harder in March of 2021 than you are now. And so now you say basically well, tell me when you go to your store, they just kick you out, right?
Yeah, anywhere I go, they tell me to go home. So that could be any of the stores, that could be the distribution center. I'm just there to hang out and find ways to help them do their job easier. And a lot of times that's just making them laugh and seeing how they're doing.
I love that.
But if I touch anything, then it's time for you to go home, Eric.
Is it the same way with your other partners? When they go into the store, they tell them to go home too, or are they more in the business?
Jake, he's probably more in the business a little bit. Okay. He does primarily stay at home. Okay. But he does have his hands in the operation of things a lot more. Yeah. I'm on the outside a little bit. So where I used to process our inventory and price it and kind of, guide that. Now I only do the marketing, which is I'm kind of on my own little island. Wow. So if I'm in there touching the tool, and putting it where it's not supposed to be, then I get in trouble.
You get in trouble. So you get to be home with your girls. Oh my goodness. I love that. How'd you make that transition? Because, tell me about how many you think you said you worked. What'd you say when we asked after lunch, how many hours you work a week approximately?
It was probably 3 or 4 hours. And the caveat was my father-in-law was in town. So, so here's how I set up my schedule is, a successful life to me is looking at my week and having it completely blank on the calendar, and I think a lot of people get stuck and they need to fill that calendar up to feel like they're doing something. Yes. To feel like they're busy and it's going to pay off and it will pay off. But to me, success looks very different. I like to see the empty calendar. Yeah. If I'm too busy, I can't see the opportunities in my business for real growth. So even when I was at the conference, we were just laughing a whole bunch. It wasn't like I was doing a ton of work, but I came back so inspired in all these other operations that I wasn't quite seeing before, or I didn't have the courage to see. Some of those you and Stephen, helped me see. Things that I've always wanted to do and just never have. Teach people some stuff. Yeah. So that's really how it happened. Is I don't want a full calendar. I really want it to be empty, and I can choose what I want to build because I have the team that's keeping what I have built going.
Do you have to do something every day with your marketing efforts for Extra Mile Tools?
No. So
you have a system for that?
Yes. Yeah, we have a system for that, and I'm actually teaching someone else. I finally have someone to teach all this stuff to. I'm so excited. Because it's been just me this whole time, which is very limiting because I only am able to do what I see. and what I think of. So I love having other people in on that and collaborate. But I am able to teach him some of that stuff. So he's going to be doing it, but also what we built back in the warehouse still works. The marketing strategy and the audience building still works. So I've kind of just have let that run for 2 years.
You've created the system, and now you can teach somebody else how to manage it and run it, and you backed up. You've went up a level.
Mm-hmm.
So for you with Extra Miles Tools, is it just a lot of time, or maybe a little time thinking and looking for new opportunities? Like, tell me, like, what part of, you said you work 3 to 4 hours a week, but does that include like thinking time, planning time? Because I feel like I'm getting close to your level in this. But I still work way more than you do. But I want to be working on those things and only I can do. I want to be way more up here in my business than I am now. I'm a lot better than I was a few years ago. Mm-hmm. Tell me what your week looks like with Extra Mile Tools and what you're doing. Is it a lot of planning, thinking, looking for new opportunities, or what?
Yeah. And you were one of the inspirations for all this too. I think you're only able to do this stuff if the people around you do this stuff as well. So you being one of those people is like, man, I'd love to, be able to automate certain things like Ryan does. And so I definitely look to you for that. But now it's a lot of planning. So when I say work, it was more running ads, typing, checking data, adjusting things. Mm-hmm. It's hard to see a difference between work and personal, because I'll go on a walk.
Yeah. And be thinking about business.
Yeah. And then something will hit me and I'll say, well, I never thought of that angle before. I'll be having a conversation. Here's a great example. A conversation with one of my good friends for 20 years. And he's a big golfer. And he said, I think I'm going to stop, eating sugar so I can play golf better. Mm. I'm thinking, who says that? That's I've never heard of that angle before of any of these, sugar-free info product people thought of that angle, so things are, there's no separation between business and personal. So, so when I say work, it was actually sitting down and working, but at the same time, if I'm talking about work, I've got to count it as work. So my week is basically, what do we need to grow? A lot of my planning and my conversations with the other two partners are very, very high level. Yeah. So I don't know how to ring somebody up in my store anymore. I don't know how to do the simplest of tasks. Yeah. And it's more, for instance, what conversation we were having before was, we're building this prep center and what do we want that to look like? And now we want to serve the Amazon selling community, not just with prep, but with PPC and listing creation and all that stuff. Yes. And even down to, hey, well, Extra Mile Tools is doing well. Is there a business we could buy, to kind of bolt on to Extra Mile Tools? We never had conversations before.
Awesome. Yeah. What kind of business would be, if this, I don't want to get too personal or get into anything that's confidential between your partners, but is there a certain type of business that you think would be a perfect fit that you could bolt on to what you're doing?
Something like boiled peanuts would be really fun. We could put in our parking lot.
I know we joked about that, but you're serious about that, aren't you?
Oh no, I was being serious. Yeah.
And tell me why a boiled peanut? Why in the world would a tool retail store want to have boiled peanuts or think about buying a boiled peanut company?
And this could be this could be a whole nother topic. I don't want to derail too much, but when we made the shift, I promise it'll all make sense in the end. When we made the shift from thinking, hey, we have really cool products, who are we going to sell our products to who do we want to serve? And that customer was the contractor, the people who use tools to make money, but it was also the DIY guy in Dawsonville, Georgia, who's going to, fix his deck by himself. Just handy guy, wants to use tools. So what else does that person buy? So you walk out into our parking lot and 19 out of 20 cars are pickup trucks. Yep. So truck accessories. What else does that person buy? Well, they love being outside. So now we're carrying paddle boards, we're carrying tents. Wow. They love.
Did you interview your did you talk to your customers to get to say, hey, sir, would you buy, if we had paddle boards, would you buy paddle boards? If we had boiled peanuts, would you buy them? Like, how did you, did you talk to anybody before deciding to bring those into your store?
Not directly. I have interviewed hundreds of contractors just for our tool organization brand that we're building. So I do know, kind of how they think.
Sure.
But a lot of this was done early on. I used to work in the retail store 6 days a week, and I took Sunday off. But that allowed me to really get to know who these people are and what a good day looks like. What do they do on their time off? What do they, what around the local area do they like to really
so you were unofficially surveying them just by having conversations.
Exactly. Like I said earlier, it's all about relationships. So when you make that shift, and I think it's difficult but possible for someone who's selling on Amazon, what else does this person like? And you start building a brand around serving that person. That's when our company shifted, when we started thinking like that. Yeah.
So the boiled peanuts, you just know that they would enjoy that. So you thought have you gone that? You actually done that yet, or you're about to do that?
Not yet. We're talking to some people about that. That was just an example. I think for our brand, Rebel Tool Co. It's a tool organization brand where you store your batteries and these mounts, and you keep them organized. Something like an audience would be an example of what I would love to purchase and bolt on to that business, because now I have the product, but now I need the audience. So maybe it's some influencers on YouTube or whatever.
So if I was a blogger or a YouTube person and I had those people in my audience, you might essentially just buy my business or something.
Exactly.
Or partner with me in a creative way. Interesting.
Exactly. And when you start getting out of your business a little bit, you get to see things a little bit differently. So I could never do that if I was ringing people up for 6 days a week. So building a team for me was so important because it allowed me to see these other opportunities that I never would have seen if I'm just in the business. And that is, to me, what the owner, if you look at what in an ideal world, what the owner should be doing is creating the vision, making sure there's enough money in the business, and building relationships. Past those 3 things, there's not a whole lot that I see business owners should be doing, or they should work to get there.
Create a vision, make sure there's enough money in the business, and build relationships.
And that's it. Past those 3 things, bring someone else in to do those for you.
That is so good. Do you think that's across the board in any kind of business?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. So my whole goal with everything I've done is constantly trying to replace myself. And my job is not primarily just to find new sourcing opportunities or find new marketplaces to sell on or any of that. That's not my job. My job is to go find people who can do that better than me.
Wow.
So that's my job, is to bring people in who are eventually they're going to ship better than me. They're going to list better than me. They're going to answer messages better than me. They're going to find new creative ways to bundle this stuff to sell online better than me. That's my whole job. It's not me. And it took a lot of pressure off once I realized that that's not my job. That doesn't have to be my job. It's not just me. Let's bring people to really help.
What do you tell to the person who's like at a point maybe that they're not where you are in business, and they're about to make, maybe they've already outsourced part of their business, but they're about to hire somebody else to take even more off their plate, thinking, man, this person's going to be a little bit expensive for me. It's kind of a leap of faith to pay this person $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month. Maybe it's even a VA at $500 a month. Get over that hump and thinking, they know that, like, okay, I've done in this past, I outsourced this piece and it did free me up and my business grew, but man, this person's more than $10 an hour. This person's, how did you guys get over that? Because I'm sure there was points when you're like, wow, this is going to cost us a lot of money to hire this person, but it should free us up to focus on other things that bring more business in.
Absolutely. There's a lot of fear with that, because you're not only, it's a liability for your business, but now you're responsible for someone else's paycheck and someone else's income, which is terrifying. That's the last thing I'd want to do, is go to someone and say, you know what, we can't pay you. Right. Or, you need to find a new job. So it was a leap of faith, but I think it was the only way to grow and scale. Was hiring a team and thinking in that way of, I'm constantly going to replace myself and find people better at this. Because that's another issue and another topic was, will somebody be able to do it as well as me?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people have that, is they don't want to give up the control, and it's their baby. And I completely understand that.
Yeah.
But at some point when I made the switch to, we just want to scale. We want to be able to create more jobs for people. To be able to create more jobs, we need a bigger business.
Yeah.
We have higher aspirations for ourselves.
Yeah.
But I had to get over that and say, these people are going to come in, they're going to make a ton of mistakes, and that's going to be okay because they're going to learn.
Yeah.
I made a ton of mistakes, and I still make a ton of mistakes.
Yeah.
If I don't learn from them, then that's where we have issues. But letting the employees know, come in, make tons of mistakes, it does not matter. We're going to learn, or we're going to build this thing together through the vision that we created. So I think that's the biggest thing is it's a leap of faith.
Yeah.
If you don't want to employ people, that's totally fine. I've met people that do that, but I cannot imagine my life and the freedom I get if I did not do that.
Right. I mean, you'd be capped. I mean, you could only have one retail store. You probably wouldn't even have a retail store, would you? If it was just, you couldn't do it by yourself. You'd be back in your garage.
I'd be in my garage.
You'd be in your garage.
Well, not even that. I would have moved on. So going back to our first podcast episode, with I would have moved on. It would have been a shiny object syndrome. I would have said, this is too hard. This does not work. Now I'm going to go find something else. So maybe now I have a hot dogs. Now I'm selling
opportunity. Wow.
Exactly.
Our employees are actually free, right? I mean, aren't they, in a way? They're free because they should be bringing in, your business grows, so it makes their salary not even an issue.
Exactly. Yeah, they can be. You can literally get free employees also. I'm thinking about going to your local college, and they all have a marketing program saying, do you have any interns that need some experience?
Sure. And literally free, you don't have to pay them anything. But even if you pay somebody a salary, what they output should be more than what you're paying them. So I mean, just trying to help people get to have the proper mindset when hiring somebody.
Exactly. They're going to create opportunity for you where there wasn't an opportunity before. So, and we track that. We do our best to track that and say, well, we're paying this person $18 an hour. How much per hour output are we actually getting? And it is well over $18, which allows us to grow the business, pay our employees more, not only pay them more, but bring more people in. And
how do you track that? Give me an example of how that's tracked. What's one of your guys?
Yeah, well, that's more my other business partner, Kerry. He's he loves math, and he's very, very good at it. And if he talks about math for too long, I thought I was good at that, but he will lose me.
So I probably shouldn't have him on the podcast. He'll bore everybody.
No, it just, I don't know how he does it, but he tracks a lot of that stuff. So he'll realize, okay, well, this person gets paid $20 an hour, but we got $110 per hour worth of labor, billable labor. Maybe in the prep center or whatever it is, which allows us to
that makes sense.
Get a bigger prep center, hire more people, bring on more clients, serve them well, all of that. So it is important to see. It's also, remember when you discovered Amazon FBA, and I was blown away. I didn't sleep the whole night that I discovered it. Right. And the reason was the idea of making money while I slept was so cool to me. And I wasn't mowing lawns. I wasn't trading my time for money. That's a lot like this was. So I would go up for lunch, upstairs with the employee in my basement, and he would be listing and shipping things. And I just remember how free that felt. That it was the fear of, oh man, so if something happens to me, my business goes away. That was gone. That was totally gone when I brought on that employee. So, and that just gets better and better and better. Now we have an executive team, and it can't imagine this type of freedom.
Right. It's a level though. You didn't start there. That's the first I remember that very first time when we were selling furniture on Craigslist, and I was doing deliveries by myself. The very first time that we hired somebody to do a delivery for me, like, whoa, what do I do now? I'm open. I can list more. I can either spend more time with Melaine. Callan wasn't around at the time. We can spend more. We can hang out together. We don't have to think about the business. Or I can now be listing more ads on Craigslist to get more business because now I'm not out on the road. So, man.
Absolutely. It's so big.
Yeah, this is so good. Okay, so think about Amazon sellers. Take yourself back to where you're selling on Amazon. You're doing all yourself. And I guess it also depends on what the person's goals are, because some people's goals are to have a bigger Amazon business. Some people, their goal is to scale up Amazon, bold it down, and work on something else. They have another business idea or dream. But so for the person, walk me through what you would do if you wanted to build a bigger Amazon business, and you're doing retail arbitrage right now, and you're prepping and shipping those items for yourself. What's your model of growing that bigger?
I don't know if this is viable anymore, but we had a pretty large team of people across the country that was shopping for us.
I remember that. Yes.
And that was my favorite.
Yeah.
That was my favorite because it was kind of like Uber. You know, you're going to Uber if you need some extra money.
Yeah.
Or Instacart or whatever those services are. They're brilliant because
you were working on a course at one time, right? For that?
I was, and then Judy and I started doing the team building course, which kind of was the second part of that.
Yeah,
we all got busy in shiny object syndrome, so that didn't happen.
Okay, let's scroll down. Let's do that. Let's talk about that. So I'm an Amazon seller. I want to grow. Would you outsource prep and ship pretty quick, or would you hire a shopper first?
I would. Well, it's both. So I would hire a shopper. And if you're not local, they're prepping and shipping their own items.
Yep.
And they're doing that because they want to get paid.
How would you find that person? You live in Atlanta. How are you going to find a shopper in Dallas?
Well, it could just be someone very well. There's safeguards. You don't have to give someone a business credit card with an open limit.
Well, actually, Abe, for those of you guys that are intrigued about this, Abe McMahon is doing this exact business model, and I'll find the episode where I talked with him, but he outlines that. He gives them a credit card. These are people he trusts. And I think he splits the profit 50-50. So he's super generous. You don't have to do that. I think you could pay them hourly or by output or whatever, but so okay, keep talking. So you're gonna start with, let's say I'm looking for a part-time job. We know each other well. You may ask me to start shopping for me. Would you just give me access to some training, or you train me yourself?
We normally went out there. So we would take a little trip and go out there, and we would kind of explain to them what to do, kind of walk them through the seller app, send them a couple videos to watch, so they had an idea. Because when you're first starting out, you don't even know what questions to ask. Yep. So we tell them to go out there and spend a couple of days, really sourcing and getting a hang of scanning things. Mm-hmm. And then we would go out there and answer the questions they did have. I found that if you go out there and train them in the very beginning, they don't know what questions to ask, and that time could be better spent if they did it the other way. But we did, I guess, similar to what Abe's doing. I don't quite know what he's doing, but we would have tier systems. So we would give them our credit card, and put a limit on it. In some
like
cases,
an employee card or something, to where it's in my name. I wouldn't have any issues, but there's a certain limit on it. Yeah,
absolutely. And we would do I forget our numbers. This was it feels like it was 10 years ago. We would have different tiers, and it was depending on what their output was, what their profit was. We would track it all through Inventory Lab. They would prep and ship. If it was something like less than $5,000, they got 25%. If it was $10,000, they got 50%. $15,000 and above, maybe it was 75% of the profit. So everything was incentivized to make good purchasing decisions. Because you wanted to tier up. Maybe we were being too generous too. I don't know, but that's really how we liked doing it. Awesome. Because we did have a lot of entrepreneurs. There's a couple different kinds of people, entrepreneurs and people who just want a job. Right. Neither one's fine, but we found ourselves when we had all those entrepreneurs, that was the best way to incentivize them.
Interesting. So you were talking about lunch. We were talking about entrepreneurs versus worker bees. That you need the worker bees in your business, in your retail store. But then, so for this opportunity, you want somebody who is an entrepreneur that is incentivized by, those bonuses.
Exactly. And it's going to think outside the box. And I used to think I wanted all entrepreneurs, because that's all we do. We solve problems and we think of new businesses and we start them. But that thought just left me with, oh man, now we have 80 million ideas. We have a business of shiny objects.
Right.
That's all it is, with no substance. There's no one actually making sure this stuff actually got done.
Right.
So then we needed a healthy balance. So
that's good.
But we did have a lot of entrepreneurs for the shopping, and that allowed them to just think really outside the box and make that pretty successful.
Yeah. So you would do that over getting a warehouse and a prep team. You'd probably try to grow it with other people versus within your own. Or maybe would you also have a warehouse there locally with your person, you and your team that are shopping locally too, or would you just keep it to where they're prep and shipping at home?
I just kept it to the prep and ship at home because Amazon was storing the inventory. I didn't need the overhead of also storing the inventory.
Interesting.
The only reason I would get a warehouse is if I was going to have some brick and mortar stuff.
Okay.
So what do you do with all the returns? You can have Amazon destroy it. You can Amazon send it back to you. I may open up a store just full of
Amazon
stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Man, I could talk to you forever. This is something I'm learning a ton just from hearing you talk. So this is a huge blessing to me. So thank you. I want to get we can have more episodes too and go deeper on any of this stuff. But you said something at the end of the day on Sunday when we were leaving. A friend asked you, Stephen, who asked you, hey, would you ever be interested in going to such and such conference? And you said, sounds like a cool opportunity, but no, because it would distract me. How would a conference distract you? And how are you that disciplined that you think that you would, that's awesome that that you should just stay away from that. But that you've got it dialed in then that your focus. Is it because you've gotten over shiny object syndrome and that would just put you right back into it or something?
I just know myself better than I did a year ago. But I even went to the conference consciously deciding I was going to watch myself around Delia and Jenny.
Because they have so many good ideas.
And for those of you who don't know, Delia, she's super, super smart. And Delia and Jenny Hunt. But whatever the reason, I get around them and ideas just happen.
Yes.
We each lead with 5 ideas.
Yeah.
That we're super pumped about, and we just never follow through. So,
So
knowing that, that's just another level of the solution of shiny object syndrome. But when he was talking about the conference, it is a conference I've always wanted to go to. And I hear it's amazing and super fun, and you get a lot of good stuff from it. But that is not my wheelhouse, and probably the most profitable word that I've learned to say ever is no.
Yes.
And I've always heard that, and it's always made sense to me, but I've never been able to do it.
Yeah.
Except for this past year.
Yeah.
There are so many ideas and things that I want to do. And I'm the type of person, if I hear someone is selling a lot of hot dogs somewhere and how profitable this hot dog stand is, well, I'm like on eBay shopping for hot dog stands.
Right.
Then, well, I'm going to do it too.
Yeah.
That very well might be profitable. And I think that's the abundance part of business, right? Is there are so many opportunities and there's not one right one. We get so settled on, we need to find the right model.
Yes.
But if you keep asking yourself that, then you end up with 5 or 6 models that are unrelated. And, he who chases 2 hares catches 0, and that was my life. I was chasing 5 rabbits, catching none of them. So it was a reluctant, no, I would not go.
Yeah.
Do that
with a hot dog cart idea. Is there any, if you saw a cool opportunity like that, would you ever have any interest, or would the answer also be no, because it would occupy brain space of saying, I think I have a cool idea. I don't want to personally do it. I'll buy the hot dog cart. I will find somebody locally to run it for me. And it's a whole other business that we're testing. Or maybe you get one of your guys who has some extra time that does a hot dog cart for you. Maybe this guy doesn't work on the weekends. So you want to test with him and say, hey buddy, you're an awesome worker. Do you want to make some extra money? I have an idea. I can't personally do this. I'll buy the cart. and have you test it for me? Would that ever be of interest, or do you think, no, that's just also just another distraction? Because now I even have to have conversations with him about this, and that's taken me off of my focus.
That's my boiled peanut idea.
Yeah. Okay.
If I was going to,
but that boiled peanut idea goes in with your store, and so I see where that's not necessarily a distraction because it's within Extra Mile Tools, and the hot dog cart actually could be too. But I'm just thinking, okay, let's say you have an extra idea that doesn't fit in at all with Extra Mile Tools or Rebel Company. Mm-hmm. And I'm this is just thinking, because I have ideas like this too. And I'm wondering, so you're helping me as I'm just thinking this through. Would it ever make sense to hire a VA to try this such and such idea, or hire somebody here locally to test out something in a very small scale to see if there's merit here? Or does that, even the idea itself, is it even that a distraction that now I'm going to have to think about that business opportunity? Or is it okay to think about it at the beginning? Because if it works, then it's great, because it's okay to occupy a little bit of brain space on something that's bringing me money in, because maybe all I have to do is look at a report that how much that business made. So help me think through that. You know where I'm going with it. If it's something that's outside of what Rebel Tools does and your Extra Mile Tools, would you ever start a new business venture with somebody else to test it out?
If it's unrelated, then no. If it would not fit in my box, then I would not. And that's the boiled peanut thing is unrelated, but it is related. So buying a boiled peanut business would bring that business owner into it to scale it, because what they're looking for is money and staff. If we have money and staff to throw into that business, well, now he can scale it.
Yes.
But that's he can scale it, not me. So
not you.
It depends on the team. If it's me doing something and I'm going to hire someone for $15 an hour to go start this thing, then no, I would not do that. Because that would be me mentally starting it and planning it, and figuring it out and tracking it, and reporting back to him. And ultimately it would be hands off, but it would be, I would have to start that. And it goes back to I want my schedule to be free. My schedule, I would always be needing to be thinking about something. Yeah.
So like a Turo business, for example, are you familiar with that? Like with cars? So like if you had a guy that you think would be perfect for it, and you could fund the cars, you could get it going for him, you'd still say no to that opportunity because that would be unrelated to the tool business, and it would just cause you to be distracted on that.
Right. Well, now I could say yes, because my team is tiered up. So it's no longer the $15 an hour people, but now it's now it's the managers. Now it's the people we pay salary. Mm-hmm. So that could be something that goes back to my job as the owner is to paint the vision. Mm-hmm. It's their job to make that vision happen.
Yeah.
So it's now my vision. I try not to do this to them because it would drive them crazy. But if it's my vision to now we're going to go train elephants, then it would now be their job to go find some elephants and figure out how to train, you know? So it also depends on the team. And again, I would never do that. That was a ridiculous example, but it would be fun to have that many elephants, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But then I would. That'd be an example. So it really depends on the team and their capability and what
you already had people underneath you that could execute it completely and you didn't have to really think about it.
Yes, we have a manager who runs all the stores, the distribution store, and is opening up a prep center. And he is amazing at what he does. Mm-hmm. He has been, and we have several guys like that, but they're all amazing people, So we have not built this company with the three of us. Mm-hmm. It's been the 46 other people who are just they blow you away. And they really, really like working here too. So
that's awesome.
That's the other part of it is what you're doing for them.
Yeah. That's so cool. You just get to go in there. So when you get the boiled peanuts, you can get to go in and laugh and eat boiled peanuts with them at the same time.
If I could just get paid just to not even do the marketing, but just go in and laugh with these guys.
Yeah.
Say hey to these guys and see how they're doing. And take them out to lunch, then that would be my dream. If that's all I had to do.
You could totally do that. You're there. Just this fun tidbit. My brother worked at and we'll wrap this up here. It's been a long episode, but I could talk with you forever. My brother worked at a hardware store when he was in high school, a small town, Pendleton, Indiana. It was a True Value Hardware. I think that's obviously a bigger brand, but the two owners had a franchise of it in Pendleton. My brother worked there, and they served popcorn completely free. So they'd have people just hanging out, eating popcorn. And it was just a fun atmosphere for the customers. Now, I think I could imagine that with your boiled peanuts, your guys that come in, want to take a break, eat some boiled peanuts, just hang out and chat with other contractors, chat with your employees when they, weren't so busy. It's just a fun place to hang out. And I don't know. Really, imagine your store is probably already like that.
I love that. Yeah, because they do. Everybody knows everybody, and it's a smaller town, so they walk in and they just want to hang out. And like I said earlier, it's all about relationships. It's not transactional.
Yeah,
that's what you don't get to do online.
Exactly.
And that's what marketing is trying to do that online, but it's very difficult. So you're right. It's drinking coffee and eat.
So your hot dog cart idea may not be a bad one, because that would bring them potentially there for lunch.
Yes.
Would you? Okay, man, this is fun. Okay.
I know.
Would you have if you brought in the boiled peanuts, that's not a lunch thing, but if you brought in hot dogs and chips, would you sell those even maybe at cost, just so gets guys in the door to buy your hot dogs, and they may buy a drill bit while they're there? Or would you make it like the cheapest hot dogs, and maybe you make a little bit of profit, but would you make them the cheapest hot dogs in town so that you are the place for hot dogs? Or does that then bring in a whole bunch of other people that aren't going to be tool owners, and it clogs up your store?
Well, it probably would. It probably would bring in a bunch of tool owners. It wouldn't clog up the store. I'd love it.
What about like the public? Like if I get wind of it, I'm not a handyman, but I live in Dawsonville, Georgia, and I hear that you guys have dollar hot dogs. And I bring my family in there, and we're just, we grab hot dogs and hang out for a little bit. Is that a good thing because it gets me into your store? Or is that a bad thing because now I'm hogging up the aisles and I got kids running around, and I don't know.
It's a fantastic thing.
Okay.
It really is. So you hang out at a barbershop long enough, you're going to get a haircut.
Right. That's true. Yeah.
So if I can, my job as a marketer is to bring people to the store. It's not to sell them stuff. That's the sales, that's the sales part of it. My job as a marketer is bring them to the store. And that's such a great example, but, like a food truck, we had a food truck there, and I didn't pay him any money. He didn't pay me any money. I didn't want to profit from it. But I wanted another reason for people to come into the parking lot.
That's good.
So I would absolutely do that. Okay. I'd love to have a line of food trucks, that'd just be so fun to me.
That's cool. Well, it seems like if I was a food truck owner, I'd love to be in your parking lot, especially if you already have the customers, you have people coming there to shop. I'd love to be there.
Most of them charge. Most of them will say, give me $500 and I'll come for the day. Luckily for me is we built this huge audience.
Yeah.
So we're able to promote them while they're in the parking lot.
Because doesn't the guy who does your videos, that kid that we saw on I don't know his name, but you said he was the best at your videos.
Yep.
Would he go out there and show the food truck? And I mean, that would be content then that I could use on my social media page.
Absolutely. He would then share it with his audience. We have we might have 50,000 people between email and text and messenger and Facebook and TikTok.
So it seems like if I'm a food truck owner, I would not, it'd be great if I could charge you to come there, but I would absolutely come for free.
And they do. That's the what you get to kind of determine is they came for free, and we just promoted them, and he did really, really well. My daughters went and did a cookie stand in the parking lot, and I promoted it, and they made way more money than a 5 and 6 year old should make.
Yeah,
whereas at the time, 4 and 5. So whoever, you can, if you do have the audience, you're able to kind of negotiate.
I know we talked about how you get people in the store. That's a whole other episode. And I think if Stephen and I can work with you to make that a reality, a course or a membership about how to get people into your store, I think that's a whole other episode. We can have you on to talk about that. But
I'd love to.
He has an amazing way to get people in the store. Just go to Extra Mile Tools. Even if you're not in the retail business, go to Extra Mile Tools on Facebook and follow them, because you'll just see how awesome that page is and what he does. Because if you have we want to test it on a restaurant too. So I want to find out that I think it can work. But even thinking about ministry, could you use your same strategy to get people to go to church? What would you offer there? And it'd be worth the test at least.
Absolutely would. It's going to work forever. There's a way to blend physical and online.
Yeah.
With everything you do, there's a way to blend it. And I think that's where we need to live.
Man, thank you so much. I took a ton of notes. I'm going to, create a vision this is what the owner must do. Create a vision, keep an eye on the money in the business, and build relationships.
That's it. Those three things. And I hope I didn't, there's a lot of topics in there. I hope I didn't derail everybody.
No, this was awesome. I love it. I'm the one that derailed it, talking about now we have a hot dog stand and
right.
That's my fault. So cool, Eric. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you. And
absolutely.
Definitely have you on again.
I'd love to. Love being here.
Thanks.
You've been listening to Streams of Income with self-help author Ryan Rieger. From right here in the Dallas Metroplex, Ryan teaches several entrepreneurial courses and group coaching programs to students all over the world. Be sure to listen next week at the same time for Streams of Income with Ryan Rieger.